In today's video, I'm going to walk you through some proven ways to increase your keyword quality scores inside Google Ads, as we've done for dozens of service-based businesses in different industries. And before we jump into what quality scores actually are and how to improve them for your own campaign, it's worth mentioning first of all that quality scores as a whole are a lot less controllable as they once were, especially now that Google's trying to automate more or less everything inside Google Ads campaigns. So if you've got some keywords that are getting a lot of conversions as we have here, but won't budge no matter what you do in terms of quality score, as we have for this one, for example, which is the keyword inside this campaign with the most conversions, then you don't want to pause a keyword for low quality score alone, because at the end of the day, it's your conversion metrics like cost per conversion, overall conversions, and conversion rate are what truly matters most when it comes to seeing success inside any Google Ads campaign. And so while you still want to improve your quality scores because of the lower cost per clicks you'll get and the higher ad rank overall, I would still choose a keyword with a lower quality score but a much lower cost per conversion and high volume of conversions than a keyword with a 10 out of 10 quality score but a terrible conversion rate and very little conversions. And just to briefly explain what quality score actually is, as this definition shows here, it's a diagnostic metric just given to you automatically by Google, and it's a score on a 1 to 10 scale that estimates the quality of your ads, keywords, and landing pages, and it's given to you at the keyword level. And these two images here really explain quite well, how quality score actually works and what it means for your campaign. Because in this first image here, it tells you the three core metrics that go into actually determining your quality score in the first place. And we'll go into more detail on each of those three metrics inside this video, but they're expected click-through rate, ad relevance to the keyword, and user experience, which is more so landing page experience. And this second image as well here further illustrates why we want to have a high quality score as often as possible, because as you can see here, any quality score below a 5, you're technically paying a higher cost per click than the average Google benchmark. So if your keyword quality score is a 5, you're paying the Google benchmark standard cost per click, but any score above a 5, you're basically getting a discount on each click that you pay for. And now inside your Google Ads account, to actually be able to see your quality scores, what you want to do first of all is go to your list of keywords. And then if you don't have these columns pulled up already by default, what you want to do is go to columns and then modify columns. And then you can scroll down here to quality score. And what you want to make sure you do is have the boxes for quality score, expected click-through rate, ad relevance, and landing page experience all selected. And once you have selected those boxes, then you can just press apply. And so we can see our keyword quality scores here displayed along each of the three metrics that actually determine this score. And we're going to touch on how to improve each of these individual aspects, because if we can get each of these above average, then technically you're going to have a quality score of 10. And so to break these down really simply before we go into how to improve each of these metrics, expected click-through rate, first of all, is simply what Google themselves expect your click-through rate to be. So not what your actual click-through rate is, but what Google expects it to be. The landing page experience score then is given to you based on how well Google actually likes your landing page and how much of a good user experience they think you're giving your users with the landing page that you've made. And then ad relevance then quite simply is simply how much keyword focus have you got in your ad copy and how relevant are the ads to the keywords of that ad group. And usually what I recommend when it comes to what to aim for in terms of improving your quality scores, if you can get mostly 7s for the quality scores of your keywords, then you'd be doing quite well with that. Firstly, because you're paying a discounted cost per click. And while quality scores of 9 and 10 are still highly achievable, they're a lot less out of our control, because while ad relevance, for example, is a lot more in our control and it's quite easy to have an above average score for ad relevance for all of your keywords. And also, eventually with landing page experience, the more traffic you get after making sure that your landing page experience is as good as it can be. The expected click-through rate portion, on the other hand, is a lot more down to Google in terms of what score they give you for this portion. So you could have an above average ad relevance and landing page experience, but if Google simply think that your click-through rate or your expected click-through rate is going to be below average, then it's a lot harder to get your quality score above a 7. And that's why I say a quality score of 7 for the most part is by far the most achievable. But the more data and conversions you build up inside your account over time, the more 9s and 10s you'll also see inside your account. On the other hand, then, if you're seeing a lot of keywords with a quality score of 3 or less, then what you can do is go through the ad groups that those keywords are in. And if you can afford to pause those keywords or simply remove them if those quality scores aren't improving, and you have other keywords in that ad group that are converting and getting conversions, then you can also just pause those keywords that have the lower quality scores that won't increase. So that way you clean up your overall keyword structure, and all of the keyword quality scores that you have are at least an average score, if not above average, like we have here. And now we're going to touch on how to improve each of these 3 individual metrics, because by improving one of these, your overall quality score is going to go up. And if you'd like a free checklist that covers everything you need to do to improve your keyword quality scores, and also contains every other aspect of setting up and managing a Google Ads campaign from start to finish, I'll leave a link for this checklist down below. And if you are a service-based business looking to have everything from your conversion tracking, landing pages, setup and management all done and implemented for you, I'll leave a link for that down below also. Now, when it comes to improving your quality score, out of the 3 metrics, the ad relevance portion is by far the most controllable and easiest to improve. And to do that, what you want to do is have tightly themed ad groups, as we have here. For example, this roofing ad group in this specific location, because all of the keywords here have the exact same intent, because it's looking for a roofing company in this specific area. And this allows us to have much more relevant ads with a higher click-through rate, because the ad copy is so relevant to the keywords of that ad group. So the ad relevance is going to be really high by default, especially when the headlines and descriptions of that ad as well all have plenty of mention of these keywords here. So that's the most important thing to do to really have a good ad relevance score, is that if you simply have enough keyword focus in your actual ad copy, then you're going to have a good ad relevance. And one thing really worth doing as well for your ad relevance score is simply using dynamic keyword insertion in your ads, because doing this as we've done here, it simply means we've covered all of these keywords just using one headline alone. Because if anybody searches any of these search terms, they'll automatically be inserted here using dynamic keyword insertion. So when it comes to having good ad relevance, it's really just about having tightly themed ad groups with plenty of keyword focus inside your ad copy. The next most achievable metric to improve then is your landing page experience score. But one thing worth mentioning is that no matter how good your landing page is, the landing page needs visits and conversions for Google to recognize that the landing page experience actually is good before this score is updated inside your account. So no matter what updates you make to your landing page, the results aren't going to be instant, unlike ad relevance, which seems to improve a lot quicker versus the work you do on landing page experience, which often takes a lot longer to actually update. But what you want to make sure you do on your landing page is make sure that it's relevant to what the person searched for and the ad that they clicked on. So the headline of the ad that they clicked on ideally wants to be pretty much the same as the headline of your landing page, and have plenty of keyword focus also in your landing page. So wherever it makes most sense to fit it in, for example, where we have X mentioned here. And as you go down the landing page, you can have a bit more information about that specific service or that keyword as you go further down as well. And also as well, you want to make sure that your landing page loads quickly, ideally within 3 seconds, and that it's also fully optimized on mobile. So you want to just make sure that it works just as well on mobile and desktop before it goes live, and that overall the landing page just looks professional as a whole, and it almost has a design that's similar to a conventional website, but without all the links to other pages and other things that would distract the user from the action that you actually want them to take. And lastly then, we have expected click-through rate, which is the least within our control and simply comes down to what Google expects our click-through rate to be. Now, I've seen keywords inside Google Ads that had an actual click-through rate of around 20%, and even with that, the expected click-through rate was low. So it really can be, outside of our control what score Google gives us for that, because it comes down to, for example, historical CTR. So what it does is looks through your entire account data and looks at your CTR that you've gotten in the past, which you can no longer control, and also compares that to your competitors' CTRs as well. But what you can do to technically help influence that is make sure that your ads are showing up more often in the top 3 positions inside Google Ads, because let's just say that you were barely ever showing up in the top 3 positions or the number 1 position, then your ad wouldn't be clicked on that often for when the ads are shown. And that would be a reason for Google to assume that your click-through rate won't be very high. Whereas if your ad is shown at the top of the page a lot of the time, then Google might expect your click-through rate to be a lot higher. So that's one thing you can do to potentially help with your expected click-through rate. What you can also do with this as well to help your actual CTR as well as your expected click-through rate is look at the keywords in each ad group and go to the search terms to see what searches your ads actually appeared for. And as long as the actual search terms are also in alignment with the keywords and ads of that ad group, they're simply more likely to get the click because the ad that you put in front of them is exactly what they search for. And this is going to help in getting your actual click-through rate higher, which will in turn help with your expected click-through rate, because the more you increase your actual click-through rate over time, the more your expected click-through rate will also improve. And so whatever you can do to get your actual click-through rate up is also going to help get your expected click-through rate up. And that means as well, what we'd also recommend doing, for example, in this ad group, is having 2 ads running in each ad group. And inside your campaign settings, set your ad rotation to do not optimize. And what that will do is that it'll give each ad in each ad group a roughly an equal amount of impressions. So that way over time, you're going to be able to tell which ad has the higher click-through rate. And then you can always pause the losing ad and then try to make a better version of the winning ad. And that way then you're continuously increasing your click-through rate over time. And that simply involves writing more compelling ads and testing out different ad copy structures. For example, you might test out an ad where you might have nothing pinned and using all 15 headlines, or you have another ad where you have everything pinned, where you have keyword focus pinned in position 1 and an offer pinned in position 2. And you can use things like dynamic keyword insertion, like we mentioned earlier, or dynamic location insertion, where the location that they're based in will automatically appear as well. All of these things are going to help with your actual click-through rate, which will help with your expected click-through rate. And so what you also want to do to help with your expected click-through rate is that make sure that you're using all of the relevant assets that you can be using for your campaign. And for any lead generation search campaign for any service-based business, I'd always recommend using your image asset, business name, business logo, site links, callouts, structured snippets, call assets, and that's it for the most part, but maybe lead forms or location assets as well in some cases. But the more of these assets you have in place, the more space your ad actually takes up on the page of Google search results, and the bigger your ad is, the more likely it is to be clicked on, and so the more Google will expect your ad to be clicked on, which will obviously increase your expected click-through rate as well. So I hope this video helped and gave you clarity on how to go about improving your quality scores inside Google Ads. And if you do have any questions about quality scores or anything else related to Google Ads as a whole, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to have a look at some of the other videos inside this playlist that walks you through how to set up and manage a new Google Ads campaign from start to finish.